Abathur is the counter ban on the side for Cloud9 Vortex. The PLEYZ with the first pick, first ban. It is Dragonshire, of course. I'm still a proponent of saying that the Vikings are not particularly strong on this map. We have seen it played more often than not. Well, not more often than not, but played frequently enough that it surprises me. And usually we will see the Vikings kind of end up just clumping up in the top lane, and it's always a weird decision to me to see that. But okay, Vortex is going to follow up the PLEYZ first pick of Zeratul. The Abathur is banned out, so not going to have that crazy combination of Symbiote plus Zeratul to start out this game. But still, Zeratul always a very strong hero regardless. Vortex takes the Sylvanas. What do they pair this up with? It's going to be Tassadar. Tassadar is a very strong counter to deal with Zeratul. As you guys could see in the last game, Zevran versus Down to Fight, there were a lot of positions where Equinox was just sort of sitting in the middle of the enemy team, far, far away from the rest of his team to get any help, but still they didn't have vision, they didn't know he was there. This sort of alleviates some of those problems, especially with that Oracle. We may even see, depends on how many promotes are on the side of the PLEYZ, but if there's no promotes to match, they may even go for the Oracle cooldown reduction. Mental Acuity at level 4.
You think it's worth prioritizing Vikings here? I mean, we've seen
No.
Abathur was banned out.
Ugh.
You don't like Vikings?
I don't like Vikings on this map. I really don't. I gotta be honest with you. We saw a couple of like the dream plays.
Yeah.
Where, you know, like the Vikings were able to hold both shrines and then capture, but that's so rare. Like that, it's not reason enough, in my opinion, to pick the Vikings on this map. What do the Vikings give you in terms of presence?
They don't have that same kind of soak capability.
Yeah, they allow the rest of your team to soak so that they can rotate. That's what makes the Vikings strong on any map. It's soak so that you can either take the objective better, or so that you can rotate around to get ganks. You can already rotate really strongly on this map. You don't need the Vikings to do that. You put someone who's safe in the top lane, and the rest of your team rotates between the two lanes that are close on the bottom side. So I really think for that reason, the Vikings are not that great on this map. And like I said, oftentimes we see, you know, teams are just like, they pick the Vikings and they just throw them in the top lane, and it's just like, well, you're not getting the value you need out of this hero. I see a lot of people are guessing
biceps.
Biceps is 6 letters, guys. I said
someone
5.
got it. Someone got it.
Someone got it? Okay, all right. We can't say who got it yet because we don't want to spoil it just yet, but someone did win. Obviously, we're on a bit of a delay, so that's going to
be... they're getting the skin right now. We're going to give you a Stormenta Malf bundle. I'm going to announce it. It's Turd Burger. So if somebody can find Turd Burger and who they guess...
By the time the delay is up, it's going to be... Well, maybe not. We'll see. But yeah, Turd Burger got it. Congrats. Congrats, sir. All right, we are moving now into the ban phase. We do have... KT was picked up. Okay, I was going to say over Jaina. What craziness, but of course she was banned out. So good amount of poke damage, I guess, in this sense. Especially, they're going to be playing a bit for the late game. KT with that flamethrower plus the ignite, a strong combination. Zeratul always can be sort of lurking around in that back line to follow up on those if is able to hit. Brightwing, just a very, very strong support regardless. What is Vortex going to... They haven't really shown much with their composition.
No, okay, so...
They haven't shown what kind of healer they need. They don't necessarily need Uther at this point. They could go Malf. They could go double Warrior Malf. They could, just...
Both teams have such, like, diverse play styles available to them, though. I mean, there's a lot of mobility, sure, with Brightwing and Zeratul kind of being all over the map. Abathur, we've seen paired nicely with that, but he's banned out, so they don't need that exact synergy. I actually wouldn't be too surprised to see if PLEYZ tried to grab Asmodee as one of their last picks here. Who do they prioritize for ban?
I like Asmodee on the map, but they might need a bit better wave clear. Jaina works well with Asmodee. Johanna works well. They could go for, if they're able to get it, Johanna Asmodee. That could also be what Vortex is going for. So what? What? Malf is banned out?
That's
odd.
Now Vortex, yeah, they do play a fair amount of Malf.
Johanna Asmo?
Yeah,
that's
I
2
like
supports.
Yeah, I like that.
I mean, that's 2 promotes. Johanna obviously very strong with Asmodee for reasons that we were talking about earlier. Just the pull is nice. Also helps so much in the team fights later on. The PLEYZ do have the 1 promote. What do you do to counter this? You do have Zeratul in the back line. I almost would be okay with seeing some more long-range poke. In this case, I think it would have to be Falstad Tyrael? I don't know. No, it's hard to say. Like, Sylvanas is a target, kind of. It's like, what do you do to deal with Asmodee?
I still prefer Murden over Tyrael personally, just because of how much more sustain he has.
Yeah, he's a better like warrior overall, but usually is something that's picked up very much to deal with someone who's in your face, and Vortex doesn't really have anything to that effect. It depends on which way they want to deal. Like, how do they want to approach this problem that Vortex has put in front of them? You can either get very aggressive to Asmodan.
Vikings. Kubi is so disapproving right now.
It's
not the worst.
It's fine. Okay, you know what? PLEYZ, show me that you can get all the value out of Vikings on this map. I'm willing to change my opinion on this if a team shows me that it can be done. But if they just clump up all the Vikings in the top lane, I can't approve of that. I cannot approve of that. So do people know it now? Has the chat caught up? Do they know?
I'm not sure if they know who it is yet. All right, well, I think it has to be Murden here. Just pair the beards with the beards. That way they can't separate who's a Viking and who... Oh, what?!
Do they have enough burst?
VP hook used to be a thing.
Yeah.
Now, Asmodan is a massive target, and they have the body blocks. We've theorized this whole idea, right, of sick hooks followed by body blocks on big targets like Asmodan. Problem being, if Johanna is anywhere nearby, she will run to the rescue, pull him to condemn, try to get him out of there, have the blind. The other cool thing with VP is we've actually never, or with Stitches, is that we've never actually seen Stitches played with Kael Fa. So the pull-in gravity lapse is like a kind of interesting combo that's not all that hard to execute.
Plus Poly.
Plus Poly. So
plus
there's
all
some
the
cool
abilities
potentials here.
Kael Fa.
Oh, Kubi, I am
excited. You know, I'm a little bit excited about it. Is the Vikings needed with this?
That's the one thing I'm not sold
Who knows?
on.
But the only thing that this might be used to like really make this work is if they really set up for a heavy rotation style, right? If they allow the 4 other heroes to rotate around the map, and if they have strong Vikings play that can soak all 3 lanes to allow for some crazy rotations, maybe.
Yeah.
Otherwise, go for something else that has a little bit more burst damage. What else would have fit? Like, it could be a lot of things. Zagara could have fit in there, especially with the Maw to follow up. Kerrigan, not with Brightwing. Tyrande? Like, we haven't seen that in a while. Is that... What do you think? I know you play a lot of Tyrande.
I miss Tyrande, and I've theory crafted a lot of cool ideas with using, like, the flamethrower Ignite plus the Owl build on Tyrande with things like Globe or the ranged on Blizzard. Like a very poke comp, because the nerf and healing ward that becomes more and more viable. We haven't seen teams really experimenting with that a whole lot.
Falstad?
Versus Vikings?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think.
I think
like,
Fly, the utility that exists on Fly, is similar to what Vikings execute on this map, and Falstad's going to have the better burst. We're going to have to see. I really hope this is something they've actually practiced a lot, tried out. And
Again, I'll keep an open mind in terms of the Vikings play, but I need to see something other than stick all the Vikings in the top lane and just win that lane. Like, that's you're basically saying... You take the Vikings so that you can get that early lead, and if that doesn't translate into an early lead, the Vikings are good in team fights.
Yeah, they're
decent.
Fine. They're decent.
They're decent, but you know, you could have taken something else in terms of team fights. And if you have setups for VP, Hinto and Blast, Tyrande maybe making the Stitches hooks more effective, especially if you combine that lunar Flare?
Yeah.
I don't know why I was trying to call it Lunar Blaze.
Well, that's the talent.
That's the talent. Okay, all right. It's been a while since I've casted Tyrande, apparently. Lunar Flare plus Gravity Lift. You know, combining just those two.
That's really cool. I would personally prefer that because I miss Tyrande play in general, but we're going to see what they have in mind here with the Vikings. Stitches, the first game we've cast of him by a team that has really proven their worth in quite a while. Hey, they played well. They made a top 8. In June in the Open, we've seen some random...
I thought you were alluding to something else.
No, we've just seen some random...
The way you phrase that, Stitches being played by a team that has proven their worth.
I'm excited to see their play.
You're saying that other teams that have played Stitches have not proven their worth.
Yes. Fought Shire, boys.
You said it, not me.
Let's get me off camera.
You said it, not me.
I'm hiding.
But I like this concept. I don't think Stitches really works that well in multiple warrior compositions. Like, no offense.
Oh! I just ripped everyone's ears to show off Kenma.
Thank you, Jake. Thank you for that. Mine included. But you're right. It is Cloud9 Vortex's new addition to the team.
We don't know if he's permanent. We do not know if he's
Good
permanent.
point.
That is something we have to point out here, but he will be playing with Vortex for the duration of this tournament.
That's right. To round the rest of the composition out, we do have Bobby Hank Hill on Tassadar. Taza will be playing Johanna Zix on Rhaegar, of course, and Syracuse will be rounding out the composition on Sylvanas. But Kenma is the newest addition, replacing Fan on Asmodee.
This Fan is now on Maelstrom. So, but on the left side, that's going to be Aragi, Lex, Luther, Pyrite Rum, Evan Drinde, and of course, Los Vikings played by Zeus. These guys got top 8 in the first June North America Open for the road to BlizzCon, and Aragi with the hook does not actually connect onto Kenma.
Cool. Aragi, that's a new name.
Aragi? He's an EU player.
Yeah, I know. No, I'm saying it's a new name for the team, isn't it?
He was in the last event.
Was
so
he?
new-ish.
Okay, all right. Also, apologies to Pirate Rum for completely butchering his name during the NA Open. I think I called him like Paratum or something like that.
No,
like
it's
really
Pirate
bad.
Rum, man.
I know. And as soon as it came out of my mouth, I was like, that's not right.
All right, guys. Well, we have just that. Typically here on Dragonshire, the bottom and middle lane are so very close together. We tend to see heroes like Asmodee rotating around to farm stacks for the Globe of Annihilation, but a nice hook onto Kenma. This is a really cool idea. So basically what they want to do is they want to deny Kenma from having all this farm, right? He's going to get stronger and stronger and stronger, and by throwing that hook out and pulling him out of his safety zone, if Evan Drinde lines up that the lift, the gravity lapse, that's really what they're going to have to do to stop that damage from getting too strong.
Okay, so yeah, we'll see what the rotations look like for Aragi and the rest of the PLEYZ. But see, the thing is, there's not really a lot of like crazy corridors, especially between these two areas. It's fairly open. There's a lot of places you can hide, especially in that the quote-unquote Bermuda Triangle, as Red Knight likes to call it. You can hide in a lot of places, but is there really a lot of ways to lock down enemy members? And you mentioned that Asmodee does have a very large body.
Yeah,
saying it nicely as possible. He's
target.
big. He's a big dude. He's a big dude, right? So he's got there's a lot of ways to lock him down in terms of body blocking.
Uther,
yes.
all alone right now, throwing down a poly, but
it's worth. Wow. It's worth. If you can get a dragon out of that early, especially, they do need to catch up in experience at this point in time. Hopefully they can make use of taking these towers down and rotations from the rest of the dragon. But, especially with Kenma, the All Shell Burn is an excellent tool to be used to take down the dragon. Look how quickly it is dropping the HP pool. Not worth to lose Brightwing just to take out the one tower.
Yeah. That's interesting calls here, but all things considered, I mean, they did manage to pick up that Dragonite, so at least it was taken out of the enemy's hands. They still have kept it alive, but it will fall in just a moment. One more Dragon Breath gonna go out at a maximum. There it goes, and Taza, well, he's not worried about the hook.
So thus far, we've seen some decent hooks, but none of them have translated into takedowns. So we're going to have to see really what their plan is in terms of moving this forward.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some potential there, especially with the polymorph plus the gravity lift. You move that into body blocks, etc. There's some ways. We keep calling it gravity lift. It's gravity lapse.
Gravity lapse. Yeah. We called it lift for a long time. It's just we call it the lift.
The lift.
Gravity lapse. Yeah. All right. So level 4 has been reached.
Yeah.
We actually see a slam build coming out from Citrus. The putrid ground is going to be enemies slam get affected by the gas, and then the heavy slam for an additional 50%. So this is a very aggressive.
There's nothing that's really meta for Stitches at this point because he's not played.
We'll see Fishing Hook. I think that's the one guaranteed talent.
I think that makes a lot of sense because you got to really play to Stitch's strength. If you're going to pick him, there's got to be a reason to do so. We do see the Nether Wind, which is the increased speed and range for gravity lapse. That will help execute these style combos with the hooks.
Oh,
I like so Kenma. You can see that he was using the general, throwing it up. Making sure that he could try to, because you can block Stitch's hooks with that. So that's a play that we may see time and time again.
Yeah. So Chad is actually informing us that Aragi replaced Daihu. So you're right. He's a new
I thought I didn't remember seeing the name. Okay.
Shame on me. All right, bottom lane, those Giants going to be cleaned up rather quickly. Top lane, Zeratul rotating up to just force Tassadar back. With this Viking solo lane of Zeus, where they've stayed in this top lane this whole time, they're actually getting pushed back. They've done 0 structural damage to Bobby and kills Tassadar, who has just had that Psy Storm in the aggressive position this whole game. Yeah,
and I'm not trying to call out Zeus and say that he's a bad player. It's just difficult, in my opinion, to make full use of the Vikings on this map. And personally, like, they're decent in lane, but especially when they're going up against the promote Tassadar.
And they're going to be extinct on Tuesday anyways.
This is true. A rare breed. So he's just trying to get all the Vikings in that he can. All right, so we haven't really been talking too much about Asmodee on this map in particular, but with the Johanna rotations, he's been finding himself at 126 bonus damage 4.5 minutes into the game. That's not bad. That is not bad at all.
No.
Especially when you consider, yeah, the Sylvanas that was actually doing a really nice job helping to clean that up as well. Especially with the unstable poison. They have a lot of ways to really put their faith into Kenma to get those bonus damage on the Globe of Annihilation up as early as possible, and then to feed into that, using that to have control over the late game.
You know, I play too much Hearthstone when you use the word faith, and I'm just like, Paladins? All right, well, we do see Living Bomb on Ziggs to condemn, pulling in both of them, followed by that Globe of Annihilation, but it will not annihilate them today. Promotes coming out from Lex Luthor's Brightwing.
You make that joke, and I was chuckling because I actually had the same thought as the words were leaving my mouth, and it was just like, all I can think of is, yeah, put your faith in the light. That guy, what's his name? Tyrion Fordring. Right.
All right, well, faith in the light, not going to help them deal with these bruisers too much. They just got to work just with brute force to annihilate them to the best of their ability. The Globe connecting, starting to get quite scary. Level 10 hasn't even been reached yet. And Kubi, you said he's got well over 100 stacks?
Yes. How much does he exactly have? 166 at this point in time. So doing fairly well, and especially once you hit level 10, he's able to sort of soak and clear waves on his own with the Black Pool talent.
Yep. That
the heroic
ability.
Yes. Really quickly, talking about some of the other builds we see for Aragi. On Stitches, it is going to be pretty much a full DPS style build. So they're saying we don't expect our warrior to really doing any tanking during the team fights. They're looking for that pick. They're putting all of their effort into that pick style. And I like it. That's Stitches' strength. Make use of it. Don't try to make them this like half like, oh, well, if we can catch hooks, that'll be good.
No.
I've been waiting for this. I've been waiting for a team to really put a lot of stock into Stitches and just say, you know, we're going to practice a lot trying to get these hooks. And actually, Tassadar ends up falling down. So a decent jump for...
Yeah, Pirate Rum and Vikings played by Zeus. Nicely done in the top lane, removing Tassadar. That's less experience they're losing, forcing Johanna to rotate up to the top lane. Yep. Bottom of the map, we do see the Ancestral being used here. The Phoenix is down onto Ziggs. Lex Luthor and Evan Drende going to be able to force him back. And that's going to give them control of both of these for a short while. Tazza.
Yeah, Tazza will be able to rotate up to the top shrine to hold control of that for the time being. All right, we have some heroics up. We can talk about this. We have Phoenix, Blink Heal, Longboat Raid, Void Prison, and the Putrid Bile. Putrid Bile doesn't necessarily mean that the Stitches is looking to get in and disrupt team fights, but it may be, if there is that strong hook, that could be a tool used to sort of prevent the enemy team from getting to that target that gets hooked, and also preventing the target from getting back to his enemy.
And you think about the peel potential that could exist with Putrid Bile and the body blocking paired with Vikings.
Sure.
Could be some really high-level plays made, but Balog going to fall in the top lane. They're trying to force Bobby Hank kill back, but he has that Archon up right now. The damage output is quite high.
Yeah, if you can sort of bait out that heroic, that's always going to be a win. On the other side, for Cloud9 Vortex, you do have the Archon, as you guys just saw, Ancestral Healing that was used in the bottom lane. Black Pool to really assist in that damage output for Asmodan. Blessed Shield and Wailing Arrow to round the composition.
All right, that's actually pretty fun.
Is it fun, Jake? Why is that fun?
Well,
tell me about the fun
combo
factor.
potential with those Wailing Arrows to set up. Blessed Shield, hit 3 targets, you can get that Wailing Arrow in there, hitting those 3 targets as well. That's fun, man.
Okay.
It's not fun to receive.
Well done.
It's fun
well
to execute.
Done. Put you on the spot. Good job.
But what I'm excited about, what's way more fun, is the big Void Prisons pulling a single target out and then locking his enemy team away.
I want to see it.
They're trying to capture this bottom lane. We do see Aragi in the back line. Just wants to get that.
Okay.
There's the VP.
That puts Ziggs in a really awkward spot.
Oh,
he is going to use the Ancestral Healing, but I think they will still be able to get out. Kenma behind the fort wall will be able to throw that down. Doesn't. He's just looking to clear the wave out. Another dragon.
Yep.
A lot of distractions.
Distractics,
as you call it, Jake.
Well, the Vikings did, you know, they're getting that mobility. They're having the utility of throwing 2 Vikings into the middle lane in that case, and 1 Viking maintaining the top versus Tassadar. Zeus just has Olaf up there to make sure he's soaking. Right. Dragonite making its way to the top lane because they know that is the current weak lane for Cloud9.
Okay, we do have the Deep Shift plus Prescience, very likely the Dimensional Shift as well at level 16. So this is the Bobby Hinkle classic build. He seems to be the only player running it, but I like that style because it works to great effect. And we do see the silence. The Putrid Bile is being thrown out to try to control some of the enemy members of the teams. Ziggs actually getting quite far forward, but does have the healing. Ancestral is not there, will be taken out. That's a trade though. Zeratul also falling. Yep. And it looks as though the remaining members of the PLEYZ will be backing out. Lex Luthor escaping to safety with that blink heal. Ooh. A little bit late on the ice block, regardless, but still a cool play. I like the thought of it.
But the Dragonite has been left alone. Zeus working on this top fort. Looks like the first fort of the game going to get rather low, but the rotation here just Tassadar, and the timer has run out.
Yeah. And you know, you always have to mention that the Vikings are going to be good, especially if there is the opportunity to pick up the the Dragon Knight you can soak with the rest of the lanes, but still, considering that we are 14 minutes into the game, you know, they don't have a huge experience. So yeah, 270 bonus stacks.
14 minutes in, that's pretty good.
Yeah, they went from like 150
minutes,
to 250 very, very quickly right after that heroic hit. So we've always been sort of talking about how this is a build that scales very fast once you hit 10, and I think this is no exception this game. So far going very well for Kenma and the rest of Cloud9 Vortex.
All right, well, Bobby Hinkle is alone right here versus a sizable part of the team for the PLEYZ. The Globe Annihilation going to just evaporate that wave of minions again. Every single time that happens, that empowers the ability further.
And we, of course, do have the Farsight. We didn't talk about that, but that also sets up very well for Kenma to be able to throw globes down to try to. Oh, God! Oh, that's all. He added so much damage, some potential damage to throw down. I like to make crazy noises like that when I think there's going to be a globe that hits all 7.
Sounded kind of like Stitches.
Actually, really nice iron skin.
That was really smart.
For Tazza, just to try to dodge that skin.
Oh my goodness, a single Side Storm would be enough to take out Eric, but not going to be the case here. They're going to be able to get away, but that's one of the big things. Vikings, they do suffer for having a small health pool against something like globes. You need to save that jump for those moments. And look at this pressure in the bottom lane right now.
Man, I was so excited about that globe to hit all 7 members of one team. I don't know if I've ever seen that. All 7 members.
Yeah, you war vomited pretty hard. It was great.
I wasn't even trying to get words out. I just wanted because it would have been so sick.
Just like Stitches.
Just so like Stitches, yep.
Feel right at home here.
Putrid Bile right in everyone's ears. Great.
Top 4 did end up going down, and they're starting to switch their focus to this bottom fort. Asmodee into top lane. The rest of the team rotating on down. Kubi.
Fishing, not fishing hook, shish kebab.
Shish kebab.
What? Why? Jake, your favorite.
Didn't I theorize this like 2 weeks ago?
But on what, though? What is the... They haven't really landed any hooks, though, so like...
Well, body blocking no longer works, so if they're really just going for that Asmodee and they want to pick them off,
okay,
like
all right.
They can hit 2 targets at once and then really get those body blocks in.
Sure.
Very interesting pickup either way. Bobby Hinkle does have complete vision using that Oracle on Aragi. Aragi's not going to throw the hook out when he knows it can be dodged very easily.
3 Blood for Bloods picked up for Cloud9 Vortex.
Oh, no. You
damage.
hook Blood for Bloods in at you? That's the worst feeling.
Yep. So something to keep in mind. And Stitch is not with the craziest of health pools for the Warriors. Good preemptive jump just to get out of the way of that Globe of Annihilation.
All right,
the play.
Hook went out, did not connect with anyone. We see Zeratul once again
so
in well tapped. Yeah, they need to back up. 16 seconds on that cooldown, and Zeratul is eliminated. Aragi follow up Cloud9. They flipped a switch, and they're saying, good night, sweet team. We're here to fight. And there goes 3 very vulnerable Vikings.
That's what happens. You got to play to the strength of the team. You have Stitches. You throw that hook out. That's your initiation tool. Stitches is not a great warrior to get in and disrupt. As soon as that hook whiffed, I think it was just like you said. They flipped the switch. They said, okay, that ability is down for at least another 14 seconds.
Yeah.
16-second cooldown on it. By the time they made the move,
big window.
Probably something around 14 seconds. That is a huge window, and they know that Stitches is going to be weak in the area of peeling for the enemy team. So as soon as that hook goes down at whiffs, your team backs up. You back up immediately. Like, what value do you hope to gain from just sitting around?
I mean, you bile and you leave. That's what you kind of have to do.
You bile if you see them getting aggressive on you.
And which they were at that point.
I mean, but they just didn't leave. They just stayed there.
Right.
So you have to play to your team's strength. Make sure you're recognizing where your team is going to be able to get advantages. And if you have nothing to gain, you have to leave.
Well, the bottom fort rather exposed. They're going to march towards, take out that wall because they know the wall could be thrown over for 4 Stitches.
Is this the first Dragon Knight for Vortex?
Yeah,
I think it is. Yeah,
2 to 1, I think.
Oh
no,
PLEYZ had a great couple opportunities.
The blood for blood, 1 win out, but not going to be quite enough. The heals from Brightwing, that gust of healing, the Globe of Annihilation clipping Aragi. Wow, the Dragon Breath is going to end up taking that takedown.
That was more than enough, and we do see probably 1 more Globe of Annihilation being able to be thrown out just the last time. They're all funneled up at the gate. Is he going to toss it? Yes, gets a little bit further forward. Decent amount of damage being thrown down. He's not going to...
All right, the Living Bomb applied to Tazza and Syracuse. We see that March of Sin, all shall burn. Top fort, top tower, going down 650 experience. Full level lead achieved by Cloud9 Vortex with these last couple minutes of the game.
360 bonus stacks for Kenma and the rest of Cloud9 Vortex. That's quite a bit more poke, and you can see he's continuing to rotate around, farm up the Globe of Annihilation with that taste for blood ability. They've done a nice job thus far. Not the record, of course. What is that, 11.5 minutes by Arthlon?
I am not Guinness, man. I do not track records. I just cast video games, and we see these promotes in the top lane will be cleaned up.
Well said. Well said. There's a lot of things casters can't do, and probably
Record
Guinness World Book
keeping?
of Records.
Forget about it.
Get it out of here. Okay, so what's the game plan? We need to see more hooks, more positioning for that. They have to really try to make use of this. So Stitches obviously is in the spot that he's in because he is such a specialized warrior. At this point, the Putrid Bile being thrown out fairly early. The positioning was forced on Aragi, and Bobby Handkill will be forced to back up using that dimensional shift.
They just spent a heroic for nothing.
For a 15-second cooldown, yeah.
Yeah, that's
They'll take it.
That's
20,
rough,
sorry.
and they're happy with that. Now Stitches can throw hooks out again. He's actually looking.
Whoa!
Wow, the damage is just disgusting.
Yeah, it's getting up there. And yeah, you get to the point where you can start sniping Eric by yourself with just the ability.
Both of the giants were hooked. Not
that's,
exactly what you want.
That's cute. Probably not what they were intending to do. More or less, you just kind of help the enemy team. Neat, though. Yeah, we'll go with
Sweet. Let's just bring them straight to our fort. Let's
I guess that kind of helps you to clear them up.
Let's check what's going on down here. We see the bruisers are being collected. Syracuse, Taza, no issues here. Knight takes pawn. Gonna send them for 4 full seconds. Bam, bruisers have been picked up. Kubi, level 20 in favor of Cloud9.
Single Storm Shield for Rhaegar. 2 Bolts of the Storm for Asmodan, Sylvanas the Indestructible, and the improved Archon. I would say those are for the most part fairly standard picks. Just a lot more. It's a big power spike. Not as big as level 10 with the heroics, of course, but still they are quite a bit at an advantage. The structure lead is there.
And they're relinquishing all their control except for Zeratul, who is trying to guard that top shrine. Now they want to deny the Dragonite, but the pressure is here in the bottom lane, and the globe onto the Vikings! Oh! Devastating.
All right, they're looking to take this advantage a little bit further forward. Sylvanas being able to shut down the keep at this point. Kenman just firing off in the back line. They should be able to wrap this up. We see probably one more globe being thrown out. Just the pressure. Okay, Aragi does get the hook, but the Polymorph to back that up, and it looks like he's going to be able to be stunned out. All right, this is the type of, they just weren't able to follow that up, and it's difficult late game, especially when you don't have the fishing hook. Yes, Shish Kebab is a cool idea to try to get around, but maybe if it was on a different tier or something, I don't know. It seems like too much of a sacrifice to give up the fishing hook, especially when your spacing needs to be that much further away later on in the game.
So far, it just hasn't panned out. I mean, fishing hook, they could go for the big snipes onto Asmodan. But the Shish Kebab, yes, it denies body blocks, but Johanna can already make herself invulnerable to that. Tassadar can just dimensional warp away. They've got 2 targets that are very hard to just lock down, and all we've seen it done successfully is pick out giants. But they do get a Dragonite. That's Cloud9.
I was going to say, that's not really that great for the PLEYZ at this point. They've dropped the bottom keep, and with the map control that they've had the PLEYZ backed up into their base for so long, it's going to be very easy for them to rotate around. Vortex picks up both the shrines. They get the dragon. They do have Stitches down for another 2 seconds. They're actually moving into the core.
Yeah,
don't think they'll be able to take it out, but
if they just go straight for it, look at the health on this thing. It's falling apart quickly. Pirate Rum does get hit by the globe and needs to be very careful. His health pool quite low. Lex Luthor using that gust of healing to try to keep the team nice and healthy, and the Dragonite's being dealt with.
Yeah, it is. And of course, we have level 20. That is the Longbow Raid upgrade Ragga Rock Roll. That's going to hit 2 targets at once. Syracuse forced to back up. No takedowns have been granted to the PLEYZ at this point, but it does, at least for the time being, back off this aggression.
Yeah, again, remember, Ironhide and option hook, not going to go because the Unstoppable was activated. Again, Johanna just very hard to lock down because of that trait.
Okay, we see a rewind picked up for Zeratul. Hardened shield on the Stitches. It'll be at least allow him to be putting himself in better positions to use that Putrid Bile. Storm shield for Brightwing. Yep, I think that covers it.
All right, well, the Dragonite still has managed to stay alive. The globe going out, going to just barely be dodged by that jump. Nicely done by Zeus. And he's once again looking for those hooks. He needs to get 2 targets really pulled in here.
Just about max stacks, 484 damage for Kenma about 20 minutes into the game. So hitting about that average mark. But hey, if you can stay alive long enough in the game to hit that reasonable threshold for Asmodan, you're doing really well. Yeah. That's the big reason you don't take Asmodan, if you don't have the strength to rotate between lanes to do it quickly, or you can't guarantee that you will get to that late game to get full use of it. He's obviously a very scary hero late into the game, and this is the point that we're at. The PLEYZ, we need those hooks.
We do.
They've built their team around this. They need to execute at this point.
It's a cool idea, but we just haven't seen it unfold quite yet at this point in time. Constantly forcing to the back lines. We have seen the bottom keep did fall. Middle keep, they did manage to defend it rather nicely. bullying that Dragonite back. Bruiser's going away of the PLEYZ, but that is a big globe. Condemn gonna hit. Stitches will fall almost immediately. The Void Prison locking out these 3 members, and they just have to full-on disengage without that Stitches.
Yeah, the rotation in the top was able to take out Kael'thas as well. It looks as though the Vikings will go that way. Additionally, we see that they get stunned out of the boat. All 3 of them will fall. Pirate Rum getting hit. That is over half of his HP gone. We see the GGs being thrown out. Doesn't look like they're expecting to be able to hold off of this push, especially with the Giants, 4 of them in the bottom lane. And Kenma, of course, with that all-shell burn, being able to throw down a lot of sustained damage. So it looks as though the PLEYZ will fall 0-1 to Vortex for the time being, but they're not out, not sent to the lower bracket just yet.
Yeah, that was game 1, and it's double elim, so there's still many more chances here, but I don't know if I'm sold on the Stitches play Coops.
You know, Araga's playing from Europe, right? Is that right?
I'm not positive. There's a few players that played from NA on EU. I think Araga is actually from
He was originally playing on
Jersey,
EU teams.
But I think he's from
Jersey.
Jersey.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so he was playing for EU teams and then is... Okay.
Yeah.
But there was some connection with EU there at some point.
Yeah.
I was going to say, that might be a difficult hero to pick if you're running on that latency, across the pond latency. But if that's not the case, then, yeah, we shouldn't say that with any sort of definitiveness. That's a word now.
Definitiveness.
Yeah.
Great.
That, and, you know, again, I said it in the beginning during the draft. I'm going to be critical of the Vikings. The pick, at the very least, in terms of this map. They could have had any other team fight-oriented hero in that place. I think it would have been better. They just left all the Vikings in the top lane to soak. I don't really see the advantage you're getting from that.
Yeah.
They didn't have an early lead. If I remember correctly,
No,
Vortex
they
hit
didn't.
level 10 first.
Yeah, they did. And they managed to get a few Dragonites nicely from the Vikings, and that's
Yeah,
nice.
and
But that's something that Falsehead can do.
Right.
Falsehead can grab that first one, fly down to the Dragonite, grab it, and it's a different kind of presence, sure, but it's still fulfilling a role. And just think of how many situations where a big Hinterland Blast could have made a big difference.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if you guys are, you know, building, if you have like an amateur team, or if you're moving forward, trying to get into the pro scene, you
Who
always
just
have
called
to...
you amateurs?
Are you instigating? I think you're instigating. Anyway, if you guys are trying to get those breakout performances, it's important to always look back on your composition and say, what did this hero X, hero Y add to the composition? In this case, they built the team around Stitches, but where was the Vikings fitting into that? I personally don't see it. Like, every time I've seen them played on Dragonshire, it's almost always the same case. So I stand by my claims. Don't really think it's that great of a Vikings map.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to get game number 2 ready to roll. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a few. Oh,
hello!
Hey, hello! From the darkness of the Liquid Realm. I'm Solid Jake, joined by Kubi. We're going to Game 3,
Yeah,
apparently.
so we got to talk about that because we just got an update that it's like, hey, the score should be 1-1. We're like, no, it shouldn't. We've only casted one game, but we didn't consider the possibility that we hopped into the series a bit late. This is game number 3, so apologies to the PLEYZ for not representing them properly.
Accordingly.
Yes, it is now 1-1. We are in game number 3. We are going to Haunted Mines. An interesting pick, a map we don't get to see played all that often, although we got to see a fair number of games this past weekend as well. Always cool to see this map. I know a lot of teams don't like to play on it, but it's a breath of fresh air in my opinion. We'll have a very similar 2-laned map being added to the pool June 30th with the Eternal Conflict. 2 lanes, yes, sort of like a similar battleground that was sort of tucked into the middle of the map. But
all right.
So Sylvanas banned out makes a lot of sense considering the strength that she has on this map. You always are relying on the attacks from the towers, the forts, to try to break down the golems, and if you can shut them down with Sylvanas, that is a huge boon to your play.
Boon, baby.
Yeah, boon.
All right, well, she, like you said, great for pushing, great for defending. Kerrigan, great for just aggressive rotation. So that's the man for Vortex. PLEYZ opting for a very safe pick, also denying this from Bobby Hankill as Tassadar, and they're going to be just Protoss, brethren. Kubi's old shirt rip.
Old shirt rip, yes. We do have the Zeratul picked up with Tassadar. You're right. It's twofold. So I like this play. You deny the Tassadar from Bobby Hankill. He's very strong. Not going to say it's like the strongest Tassadar, probably the top 3 at the very least in NA. It's kind of hard to say like who's the strongest of any particular hero. Some players stand out on those roles, but he's absolutely up there. So taking that hero away from him is always going to be a solid idea. Not only that, it happens to be a very strong counter to Zeratul as well in terms of granting that vision and keeping tabs on where he is. So PLEYZ have secured themselves 2 nice picks. Vortex, they have the Jaina the first pick. You always have to keep the position of the map in mind as well. You want to make sure you have one very solid solo laner that can be safe. So if we see something like Vala picked up, Tassadar is going to very much fill that role, especially in the early game, up until that first set of mines open up, where they're maybe looking to try to hit level 4 ahead of time. They just want to have very safe soaking. Illidan will be grabbed. He can kind of work as that solo laner, but honestly is not that strong at it until he hits level 4. So I'm going to be looking to see something else that is safe. If one of the teams picks up Vala, I'm okay with that if you're going for multi-shot build.
I would also be okay with a Nubarak here.
Nubarak's fine.
Oh, but it's going to be Muradin. So
okay.
Getting just one of those big warriors that do have a bit of aggression in the early game. Also, Muradin is not good to be fighting against having Illidan. He has reverberation. If you can pair that with him, take that away from the enemy team, that's great.
Falstad. Falstad could also work in this spot. Let's see. PLEYZ, they ban out Abathur. That's okay. All right, I'm okay. I think that the PLEYZ would have liked to have grabbed Abathur, but it's always kind of a, is he really that strong in this map kind of thing. Something to consider. Brightwing is taken away. May still run Uther. The PLEYZ will. That's a possibility.
I would like to see Uther here. Rhaegar is fine as well. I actually really like Rhaegar on this map because of Feral Heart. As great as Farsight is, Feral Heart gives him so much sustainability. It often comes into play during that first Mines phase. Having the additional mana and health regen can make a big difference in a lot of just drawn out Mines fights.
So we'll see. I imagine that they will take the support during this phase of picks because Vortex has not locked that in yet. They banned out the Brightwing. So what does that mean exactly? Yeah, well, it's probably just to limit counters available for Illidan. So there's a lot of sort of stock put into that style. They take the Muradin away from the PLEYZ. They take Brightwing away from the PLEYZ. They're not going to run Johanna Muradin, and Johanna may be a possibility to get somewhat of a counter. I wouldn't really take Johanna just for that reason.
What's the Johanna song go like again, Kubi?
Johanna, Johanna. You like that?
Great. Well, yeah, Johanna wouldn't be the worst, but yeah, having a Nubarak still on the table, he's got the double stun, he's got the aggressive play available, and I do like that pickup because allowing him to get away, Vortex, I don't know if they would take him, but they might have.
So they take the Uther, PLEYZ does, I like that. It's just sort of a denial for Illidan. So probably Rhaegar. And what would you round the rest of this composition out? Do you feel confident enough running double mage? That's still on the table. They're good at clearing out the mines.
I don't.
Both of them are. It's just a matter of, do you feel safe enough to do so?
It's fine. I would actually prefer to see Vala here.
This is Zeratul.
I think Vala, a multi-shot Vala, or a single target Vala would be good. Multi-shot Vala is actually great for clearing the mines, but Hungering Arrow build, if you have a Zeratul or even a Nubarak burrowing, excuse me.
Zagara also has not been picked up either. Zagara would fit that pretty safe lane clear in the bottom lane. I don't know. I don't recall
Creep Tumors are great for the entrance to the mines. I
don't recall seeing either of these teams necessarily put a lot of stock into Zagara thus far, so it may not be a thing that goes through. What else? Falstad.
Vikings.
Is decent. Vikings are kind of a weird spot on this map.
They are, but they're not terrible.
They're not terrible because you can continue to soak while you're in the mines and still have Olaf go to the bottom to also help clear. And that's the thing. If you have an advantage, you will get a huge advantage. So it's a bit of a risky pick, but it can really catapult you to a very strong lead, especially going to level 10. What else could be a reasonable option? Yeah, I'm thinking they're... Okay, there's the Zagara. Okay, so they have locked themselves in a safe lane clear from the bottom lane, a good amount of support for Illidan with the Rhaegar Ancestral Healing. Muradin is sort of just like a snipe play to provide a little bit of control, and they have a good amount of damage with Jaina. I like Vortex's composition, nothing too aggressive, and it fits the map well. The PLEYZ, they have solid lane clear with Tassadar. Something to attack the back line of Vortex with Zeratul as long as the play is good. And of course the Divine Shield to try to get heroes out of that position, especially Zeratul.
Yeah.
The Nubarak is also good at lane push, so they may even stick him in the bottom lane. We'll have to see. It depends on the preference of the team. And the final pick, probably damage. I would imagine.
Yeah, it's got to be. But who is it going to be? Vala's still a decent option for handling Illidan.
KT's fine.
KT would be fine too. I don't like KT that much on this map. I think this is his worst map. I would actually prefer to see Falstad, believe it or not, over KT.
Elaborate, Jake. What is it that you don't like about KT?
Falstad's got a stronger early game. I mean, plain and simple. Kael'thas early game is not the strongest. He scales great in the late game.
Fair. That is fair.
And this map is really just about winning early in Snowball. That's like the best way to put it. Well, Tychus would also pair fair nicely here. And Tychus works nicely against Illidan. So they are going to go with Tychus. He's got Melting Point. Yep. The drill and just his whole kit in general works nicely against Illidan. And it's
I was about to say Complexity showed us that we can run Arthas and Sonya on this map. Either of those work. Hey, they won. They won in very convincing fashion as well. So there could have been the potential for some strange picks in that sense. Not going to be the case here, although Tychus is a bit less common. Still ends up working out. So that's going to be the lineup for game number 3. Got to highlight that again. This is the 3rd game, even though we've only seen game number 2 of this series. So this is it.
Ruining our brains, playing games without us knowing it.
Yeah.
Tragic.
Well, that's sort of the nature of sort of hopping around the brackets, right? The team doesn't really have any responsibility to be like, hey, just so you guys know, this is game number 3. They're more concerned with drafting and getting their heads in the right place to play against the team. So,
Kui, if we lean back far enough, do you think we'll fall into the bubble realm?
This is a small opening. I don't think I can fit through that.
Muscles too big?
Yeah. Just shakes his head. He's like, no, I'm not feeding into this.
Timer went crazy. It was supposed to be Vala. So it wasn't actually supposed to be Tychus. Even though I made that pick sound so cute and nice, it's going to be Tychus for that final pick. So if we look at the draft once more, Vala, not Tychus.
You're supposed to crop it out and put it up. Yeah, you remember?
I've done it once.
Who do we have to do that for?
Rainer.
Yeah, it was Rainer and Tychus. Oh, Rainer was banned.
Yeah,
that's
from
what
the event.
Was.
Rainer was
banned
out
from the event because his adrenaline rush would like auto cleanse as soon as he triggered it. Interesting times.
Terrible days.
Well, okay, that's where we're at. So Vala, we mentioned Vala, especially if you want to go for that multi-shot build, and she has a safe lane clear. They already had pretty safe lane clear. I'm trying to think which team are we talking about. I think it's PLEYZ, right? Went with Vala for the last pick? Yes. So they already had pretty safe lane clear with the use of Tassadar. So it wasn't something that was a high priority for them, but it will still
have good effect on this build if they want to go that way.
You're right.
It's been picking up a lot of steam lately. Originated over in the Chinese meta, and teams have started to experiment it. We've seen actually a lot of great use out of it. Just the thing is, it's kind of random. You never know where that arrow is going to hit. But if you're in a situation where you're not near enemy minions, fortifications, or something of the like, the damage is brutal.
So yeah, it will have good damage output or the same damage output just spread over heroes. So that's something you have to look to try to control as best as possible. Let's get to introducing the teams. Jake, on the left side, we do have, of course, the PLEYZ. Evan Drinde is going to be on Vala. Aragi is going to be playing not once again. I don't know what play game or one, but it's going to be a new Barak. Zeus is going to be on Tassadar. Lex Uther on Uther. And who did I miss? Pirate Rum is going to be on Zeratul.
All right, riding that legendary card mount. On the right side of the map, that is the red team, Cloud99 Vortex, with Syracuse playing as Zagara Zix on Rhaegar Kenma, side saddle on Jaina, and Taza playing Mouth bottom lane. That's going to be Bobby Hinkhill and his Lonesome on Illidan.
On his Lonesome. All right, we do have, let's take a look at the talents. Some specialized abilities have been picked up. We do have the Corpse Feeders. That is 30% less damage from
Never really thought about it, but Corpse Feeder sounds disgusting. Like, it just sounds bad.
That's what they do, man. They get thrown down from pods to eat people. That's what roaches do. But it makes a lot of sense on this map, right?
Yeah.
The reason that Zagara is strong here is because she's kind of like a mini Sylvanas in the sense that she's very, very strong at pushing. And we're going to see very aggressive pushes from either team. It's usually a 4-1 split on this map in terms of pushing out the lane that your golem is in. And it's honestly a race to see how far you can push in with that defending hero. In this case, it's going to be Zeus and Tassadar in the bottom lane. It is going to be Illidan. So didn't expect to see that. Yeah, I sort of was mentioning that Zagara would be good at defense as well, but she can kind of go in either spot. And probably in this case will get more pushing done than she will defending. So that's fine. They could have put Jaina in there as long as she's sitting behind the gate. A lot of options.
Yeah, but look at the difference. Zeus has done a nice job defending. They're all quite low, just sitting under that side storm. The bottom tower just now about to go down, whereas in the bottom lane, they're already well underway with this keep. The well will surely fall in this bottom fort. Look at this. Not looking good.
This is actually huge. I gotta say, so far the PLEYZ are making a huge advantage. They need to wait for their next wave to get in there, but seriously, they have pushed out way further. If you can get like half of that fort down before you even get into the mines,
even the 10%, like with the well and everything gone, like that well is now not an option. They have to go back into the mines if they leave from the top lane. If they're ever caught in a position in this bottom lane where they're fighting and they want to come out to tap the well, that option's been removed from this game. They're going to try to rotate in. All 5 members are here, and Kenma gets hit by that multi-shot. A beautiful impale connecting with both Zix and Kenma.
They led with Zix, which I thought was particularly interesting, and they weren't able to lock that down. A very nice impale from an Uberak, and they're actually able to lock down Tazano. He's able to get back out, but more importantly, they force the position of the mines. And this means that PLEYZ gets free roam. They are first to the table to eat.
They're going to gobble these
skulls up. They're waiting. They want to continue to set up position. We can see the Vortex is well aware of the possibility of this. They're going to rotate. And at some point, the PLEYZ has to make a decision. Okay, they're rotating up to the top entrance. We need to start taking our advantage that we have. Let's take skulls. They're well on their way to getting an advantage gold.
Yeah, I mean, they're already at that 32 skull point at this time. The Stormbolt does go out, not connecting. Again, a nice impale. The Burrow Charge connecting on Kenma. Taza is so very low, Dwarf tossing away. But Aragi, he's actually, going to have to leave here. He can't really do much more.
He's getting a lot done. He's not getting controlled enough. We see Lex Uther throws the stun down, but Bobby Hinkhill should be able to continue in as long as he's able to get that support from Zix, which he should be able to. Pirate Rum now in a particularly bad position. He's able to blink to the entrance. But Zeus actually ends up taking enough poison from the Envenom that was picked up on the spot from Jaina. Well done to Vortex for being able to turn that around. Now they have control of the mines.
If they had mana, they would have been happy to stay and fight there. But the mana was just not available. Well was tapped, and now Taz is being contested upon bottom lane. Stun coming out. Is it enough? This Hungry Arrow going to chase, and the blink forward from Pirate Rum going to be able to take out that hero. With Aragi flanking from the top part of the map, he gets the stun onto Zix, but their target is Syracuse on Zagara.
Able to take that out, and that is going to be a large tool taken away from Vortex in terms of trying to clear out this golem. It looks as though that advantage should go to the PLEYZ, so we will very likely see a 66 skull golem going the way of the PLEYZ, unless there's some other form of contention. I don't think that will be the case. Vortex will likely back up to the top side, try to take as many camps as possible, maybe even an aggressive giant camp.
And I like Aragi's positioning here. He's making sure that they're not contesting that top fort. They are going to take this watchtower and then go for these knights. Aragi has just spotted this out, but like you mentioned, 66 at 34.
Yep, I gotta give more credit to Aragi in this position because there was the potential for them to move, if the vision wasn't there, to take the offensive giants, and that's a large part of defense. Especially for the first golem, is having those giants taken at the proper time. And that proper time is right when the golems are moving through the forts, just past the forts. And you can see they're waiting to capture this. Very much the same on the other side. As soon as they clear that up, they will wait.
And then, yeah, like you mentioned,
right
Giant, he wants to pass just about here. That's the optimal timing for the capture of those Giants. Structurally, slight advantage in favor of the PLEYZ, but they're starting to get aggressive here. Kenma, Zix, and Syracuse pushing on in. They're going to mitigate the pressure a little bit, but Zeus has the shielding. He can shield the structures. Going to help a fair amount in this battle.
Yes, that'll help a lot. And we see the Giants have arrived in time. A little bit, probably closer than they would want them to be, but they will be able to provide quite a bit of defense. And over on the other side, yes, it looks as though this fort will go down. But much the same for the PLEYZ.
Yeah, but difference being is the Golem on the side of the PLEYZ is much healthier and much stronger. And it's going to make it quickly to that fort. Once they leave here, they have Mule. Tassadar has the shields. They're going to try to keep alive. Zix trying to get to the Mule. Throws down the totem with the lightning shield. Nicely done, but the damage on this back wall is well underway.
They just haven't had Syracuse in the position to really put that aggressive structure taking damage. And actually, the stun onto Tazza, he's forced to Dwarf Toss out of there. And the pressure continues.
Oh,
Kenma actually gets locked out. He's not getting out of there. We need just one more shot. Yes, he does end up falling. Aragi continuing to put a lot of pressure down. And that's still a third of an HP on this golem. I don't think that they will be able to get this keep. We'll have to see what the remaining pressure looks like for the PLEYZ.
Yeah, very unfortunate for Kenma getting bodied out by the stop. You know, he had to fall back, which put him in a very vulnerable position.
Maybe they will.
The keep is going to go down here.
Okay.
The PLEYZ, man, I can't not say they're making plays because
they're playing this map to a T. They're like, this is exactly how you should play. And if they're able to put Vortex on the back foot, you can see that they had very similar gameplay, like strategies going into it. And the fact that the PLEYZ was able to execute theirs much better to force Vortex off of that strategy. They said, oh, well, we need to go back to defend. What is going on right now? I look away for a second, and Jake's off doing silly things.
Zoya observing right there.
Oh, wow. Shots fired. Okay. Let's see. In terms of builds, do we have anything? You mentioned the Mule. That's always going to be strong in this map in particular. Sky Temple, Blackheart's Bay. I think those are probably the three big maps that you will see that ability taken. Cleanse for Uther. And PLEYZ, honestly, they're about 3/4 of a level up. Very close to level 10. Vortex, they need to battle back.
They
do.
Point,
they have their keep down. I mean, that's going to be constant pressure. Catapults in the bottom lane.
And promoted catapults is an option because they do have promote there on the Tassadar. Tassadar has Mule to help be defensive in the promote for very aggressive plays in the bottom lane. Very favorable in their position, and they have level 10 with a full level lead.
We should see the mines open up probably in about a minute from now, as I think it's about 2 minutes after the last golem falls on either side. So the heroics are up. We do have the Divine Shield. That should pair fairly well if Zeratul gets himself in trouble. If not, thrown down onto any of those other heroes, especially the Strafe, maybe to get extra value out of that. We do have the Locust Swarm and, of course, the Archon. And I'd love to talk about what Vortex has for the heroics, but they find themselves a good bit behind.
Yeah.
And what is the PLEYZ going to do during this sort of downtime? While they're waiting for the mines to spawn, they take the top fort. They continue just to try to push out this bottom lane as much as possible. Seems to be the case.
I like their positioning. They're just kind of making sure they have eyes on the enemy team. But Evan Drin, they caught a bit out of position, going to have to rotate back, but the rest of the team is arriving. Now Bobby in, they both get stunned. The stun comes out the Strafe, hitting Bobby in full force, and that's going to be just not enough because of that Void Prison. But is it too much? Yes, they are going to be able to blow him up, and Syracuse as well.
This is a big deal. This is a big deal with the mine spawning just right now. This is a very difficult position for Vortex to bounce back from.
This is, yeah, that's one way to put it, Kubi, because they're going to get a massively advantageous golem. And look at this. Pirate Rum knows that they might be in here, and he's scouting around. He does see Zix. He might guess that Jaina is around the corner, but he's denying them these very aggressive skulls in the top portion of the map.
That's twofold. He reveals himself, puts pressure on Zix to get him to back up, but also is able to clear out the golems to get himself. They have a 54 skull golem already. They cleared out just about every auxiliary camp before the golem. We're going to see Aragi is going to be able to back out on the Anubarak. How do they chase? What is the play? What do you do?
Farsight's here. Zagara's making her way down. They're trying to get some takedowns here and now. The Stormbolt connecting onto Tazza, but the Divine Shield used just to retreat. They know they have the advantageous golem, and they don't have to collect skulls here. They can do whatever they want because they already have a keep down.
Yeah, not only that, but they have the option to promote these catapults, put pressure on. They will force, I'm sure, some members of Vortex back. If they're not already recalling, this might be a mistake.
They have to leave now. They have to see what's
agree.
happening and back up. And one heart. They're
back.
still staying here collecting the skulls. This could be a mistake. This core is being sieged up by the PLEYZ.
And even if they're able to just take the shields off of this, they have the double promoted catapults moving forward. They should be able to get a little bit of structure damage done, but this sets up the golem very well. Of course, Taza on Muradin is probably not looking to clear out this golem just yet. They want to buy as much time as possible to allow those shields to regenerate. They don't have a mule on their side, so that's something that they have to try to avoid taking as much structure damage as possible on that core. Things to consider.
They need to save Lex Uther here. They're just trying to let them push out a little bit too much. We do see the slow going out once more from Kenma, trying to get this combos, just constantly. The shields coming out from Tassadar. They're just going to tap the well and turn around?
Yes, but again, I'm keeping my eyes on Uther. Okay, nice Void Prison. And we see that Bobby Hankill is actually out of here. He said he's had enough of this.
All right, the Ancestral use a bit too early on to Taza. Bobby would be the priority target, but with that Metamorphosis, not going to be able to connect it, and that's going to just be a turnaround. Kenma, a little bit exposed right now. They need to get to him. The shield's coming out, but that won't be enough. Kenma going to fall once more. The Skull's still available. That Golem was severely weakened by Cloud and Vortex, and the PLEYZ will be happy to collect them.
It was the right call for Vortex to not continue or not finish clearing off this Golem. I think that's very, very important to do that just because, again, you need to buy time to gain control of the situation. But as it stands, a 69 skull Golem.
421 minutes into this game.
That's not at all true. Oh, boy. Jake and Jackisms. Very nice. All right, so this is going to be a very difficult defense for Vortex. They do have all their heroes up. At the point in time in which the fight may take place, that could be a level 13 to 12 advantage. Having all of these types of abilities picked up, what are we going to see? Maybe a Shrink Ray, probably a Shrink Ray for Uther just to deal with the Illidan. We do have the Wormhole, the Burning Rage on a new Barak, it's just more damage output, and Tassadar also going for a Shrink Ray.
Yeah, double Shrink Ray, full multi-shot build. Golem on the core, it's already at 91%, the shields are falling rapidly, and Zagara is going to be able to dodge that Burrow Charge, but fall anyways.
Yes. And what is going to be the play? Are they waiting for the meta? Is it even back up yet? Not quite. They need some more auto attacks to get in there. That's another hero that ends up falling. I think the PLEYZ have done it.
Man.
And what I think easily could be called an upset, taking out Vortex, who did fairly well, not only in, of course, the North America June Open, but also the Major League getting 3rd place. And they will end up falling to the lower bracket. Not quite out just yet, but still well done to the PLEYZ.
They played well, Kubi. They take game number 3 in a convincing fashion, 9-2 in terms of the takedowns. Man, they're moving forward.
Yeah. And looking at the drafts, I might say that Vortex did have the better draft going into it. And I think it was just how it was executed. It was much, much better done for the PLEYZ. And a lot of it did come down to how that initial pressure was played out.
Right.
And the fact that they were able to pull Vortex back off of their game plan, like both teams went in hard on those lanes. And if you're able to pull the other team back because you're doing too much damage, and like that's already setting them on the back foot.
A big part of that wasn't just like that the aggression was better. It's just Tassadar with the shielding and Psystorm to mitigate the pressure versus Illidan, who literally has to sit back and watch.
Yeah.
Like Illidan, if he steps forward, he's done. He's gonna get hit by the stun from Uther and he's gonna get blown up. But Tassadar's like, well, I'll shield my structures, I'll burn down your minions with Psystorm.
I mean, you got to put Jaina in that spot.
Yeah,
even though she's less safe,
right?
But you know you're going to be sitting back behind the fort wall regardless. And,
Cone of Cold, Blizzard, you're going to hit.
You clear out the wave at least so much faster. You do a lot more damage to the heroes. So yeah, absolutely. Credits to Zoo for having the better defense on the side of the PLEYZ in the upper left. I think that honestly did set the pace a lot. It's just like not often that the early game, especially up through level 4, makes that big of a difference. But the fact that they will just put Vortex in the back foot, get the bigger starting golem, push out with it way more, and that's just really carried them a lot of momentum forward. Couple decent fights for Vortex, but not enough to battle back, and the PLEYZ will take a 2-1 victory moving forward in the upper bracket.
Yeah, so I'm going to actually pull up the bracket here. We're going to see if we can get an update. We can see that Zoya, also known as Tempo Storm, I'm looking at the wrong bracket
Why would you do this to me?
Tempo Storm has advanced over the Winter Mules. That's a great name. Team PLEYZ versus Torque appears to be happening right now.
Do we want to show the stream, this bracket?
I don't have it set up
scared?
yet.
Are you scared? Okay.
Yeah,
no,
I got keys here that I could accidentally show, so that's
all right.
A risk.
All right, no, that's
a
fine.
risk.
That's fine.
But we're gonna find out what we can go to next. But I just mentioned keys, right? Well, what was I talking about, Kubi?
You were talking about giveaways.
Oh,
for skins.
Free stuff.
Yes, free stuff that we'll be giving away. Of course, I'm sure over the
Yeah.
Commercial break.
I mean, about 100 keys this weekend, sporadically.
Skins.
Skin bundles over this weekend. All you have to do to be eligible to win a skin is follow the channel and be here in the chat. So as long as you're watching, as long as you follow the channel, you're eligible for a skin. You don't have to do anything else. No chat shenanigans. No waffles today.
I don't want a beta key. I don't think the chat wants a beta key.
No,
so let's give them skins.
Give them skins.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we're going to figure out what our next match is going to be here in the Team Liquid Super Brawl.
Yeah, let us know. Let us know. We saw some people that wanted to see some Tempo Storms. People wanted to see Michael Udall's team. People wanted to see Maelstrom. So let us know what you guys want to see. We'll be taking a tally during the break, try to get that set up for you guys. Otherwise, we'll see you in a few. We'll go to a quick commercial break.